left to die in the desert. But the human mechanic shielded the baby alien dragons with his own body. The sun was a searing orb in the sky of Velthera, an arid wasteland of orange sand and rust-colored rock. Nothing survived here unless it adapted to the extreme. Triple eyelids, subterranean roots, heat-shielded scales. But humans? They weren't supposed to be here at all. That didn't stop Jace Torin, a civilian mechanic contracted by the Galactic Research Corps, from ending up stranded in the desert with no ride, no water, and no backup. A simple shuttle repair had turned into a nightmare ambush. Raiders, feral scavengers who preyed on off-worlders, had attacked the outpost just after Jace climbed out of the power conduit he'd been fixing. In the chaos, he had fled blindly, carrying only a satchel with a cracked comlink, some basic tools, and a small energy knife. He wandered for hours. Then the storm came. Now, half buried under a rock outcrop, Jace coughed sand out his lungs, every muscle sore. His visor HUD blinked. Hydration critical. Core temp rising. He should have passed out from heat stroke, but something stirred nearby. A whimper, then a soft, gravelly chirp. Jace blinked at the shadow moving under a ridge of collapsed metal, a wrecked alien ship, partially melted from a crash long ago. He crawled closer and gasped. 3 baby dragons. Or at least they looked like dragons. Scaled, winged, but their proportions were off. Heads too large, tails short, wings not yet functional. Their scales shimmered blue-green, but were dull from injury and dehydration. Their nest was a pit of metal debris and sand, and 2 of them were clearly wounded, scorched in the heat or the crash. One of them, the smallest, approached Jace cautiously, chirping. Its eyes, impossibly intelligent and wide, held something like trust. Jace knelt, his hands trembling. "How long have you been here?" The dragonet pressed its snout against his chest. And that was when Jace made a decision that would either kill him or define him forever. He unzipped his dusty jacket and took it off. Gritting his teeth, he laid it out as a makeshift shelter, then began pulling bits of debris into a crude shade structure. His body shook with effort, but he pressed on, ignoring his own thirst. By dusk, he had formed a crude triangle of shielding, just enough to shade the babies. The smallest dragonet curled against his chest, trembling. He could feel his body trying to regulate temperature. Too hot, too fast. Jace leaned back, positioning himself to block the final rays of the twin suns. "You don't die," he murmured. "Not on my watch." The second day was worse. Jace had given up the last of his hydration pills to the dragons. Crushing one and mixing it into a capful of water he'd collected from a rare condensation pocket. His lips were cracked, his tongue swollen, his skin burned. But the dragons, they lived. The second one had started breathing normally again. The third even attempted to stand, although it fell over awkwardly, flapping its tiny wings. By day's end, Jace couldn't stand anymore. He lay in the sand, propped up with his back to the setting sun, body acting as a wall against the heat. "Someone will come," he whispered, though he no longer believed it. The dragonet, his little companion, nuzzled his cheek. He didn't see the patrol ship at first. He heard it, just as his vision started going dark. A dull roar in the air, then the unmistakable thrum of a Federation-engineered craft. He tried to raise a hand, failed, collapsed. The next thing he remembered was cold, a medical tent, and 4 in his arm, air conditioning, clean sheets. A nurse looked down at him, wide-eyed. "He's awake." Jace rasped, "Dragons?" The nurse blinked. "You mean the hatchlings?" Another voice, military. "Cut in." Commander Revek, tall, green-scaled, with a tone of disbelief. "You shielded 3 infant Skilari broodlings with your own body in the Veltheran desert for 2 days? Jace nodded weakly. "They'd have died." Commander Revek looked at the dragons. now recovering in a nearby bio-cradle. Chirping and curled up together. They're sacred to the Scolari, Rivek said quietly. We believe them extinct on this moon. You save an entire bloodline. Jace didn't understand the magnitude until weeks later. He was summoned to the Scolari matriarch's vessel. A towering serpentine being, armored in iridescent scales, greeted him with a low bow. You gave your life to our children, she said. We give you a name among our kind, Viathorn, the Flesh Shield. Jace swallowed hard. I just didn't want him to die. The matriarch nodded. That is why you are worthy. You saw a life where others saw nothing. You are human and more. They offered him citizenship, honor, a place in their people's legacy. But all Jace asked was to see the hatchlings one more time. They came bounding like overgrown puppies, wings flapping, eyes bright. The smallest one ran to him and pressed its snout against his chest, right where it had once curled for shelter. Jace chuckled softly. Yeah, I missed you too. On a scorched, forgotten planet, a mechanic had made a choice. He had nothing to give but his own broken body, and it had been enough to change everything. Because sometimes the strongest armor isn't metal. It's a human heart. ChatGPT can make mistakes.